I have a really cool dog. He's smart, affectionate, playful. I like him a lot, and I would do a lot of things for him. I would not, however, plunk down a pile of money to buy him a doggy drinking fountain. But guess what? I did buy a doggy drinking fountain. So did you. We all chipped in. You didn't know that? Well, that's just one of the surprises coming at you now from News 13 investigative reporter Larry Barker.
They stand as powerful symbols of waste and negligence. A doggy drinking fountain, a statue, mariachi uniforms, an indoor golf course.
It is shocking to see hundreds of thousands of dollars of taxpayer dollars is going to these projects.
When you look at some of the projects that get funded, do you cringe a little bit, Senator?
I do, absolutely.
In Santa Fe, it's got a fancy name, Capital Outlay, but you know it better as pork. Hundreds of millions are quietly doled out to New Mexico's 112 lawmakers in order to address critical needs in local communities. But if you thought all that public money was spent on dams and sewers, think again. You see, capital projects are funded at the whim of each individual lawmaker. Unlike other legislative expenditures, pork barrel projects never receive any public scrutiny. There's no debate, no committee hearings, no feasibility studies, and no rules on how the money is to be spent. Senator Steve Neville serves on the Legislative Finance Committee.
The bad things about this system is there's not accountability. We don't have a way of vetting all these projects, of deciding which ones really ought to be funded.
For example, in '07, Senator Richard Martinez hit up taxpayers $10,000 to remodel the football field press box at a tiny rural high school. Just down the road, a small northern New Mexico community is struggling to find an extra $9.5 million to revamp its sewer system. Senator Cynthia Nava used public funds to buy the Santa Teresa High School $16,000 worth of mariachi jackets, pants, skirts, straw hats, and bow ties. Today, the uniforms are in storage because the school's mariachi teacher retired. Next door, Sunland Park cannot find the $7.5 million it needs to remove arsenic from its drinking water. In '07, Eddy County lawmakers Neville, Asbill, Heaton, and Gray billed taxpayers $100,000 for this bigger-than-life bronze sculpture. Meanwhile, the Carlsbad community is trying to scrape together more than $26 million to repair its water lines. Also in '07, lawmakers Foley, Adair, and Gardner spent almost $500,000 of the public's money on artificial turf at a Roswell School football stadium, a riding mower for the baseball field, and a John Deere tractor for the athletic field. Across town, Roswell officials are trying to find $4.6 million for storm drain and road reconstruction. While Las Cruces is scrambling to fund wastewater treatment, State Senator Mary Jane Garcia single-handedly wrangled $50,000 for a dog park and a doggy drinking fountain. You heard that right. Senator Garcia's appropriation specifically authorized a drinking fountain for Fido.
A dog drinking fountain, Senator?
Well, I guess you have to have a place for the dogs to drink water from, you know. They have I can't envision that the dogs would go drink from the water fountains for human beings.
I think it's disgusting. I mean, I'm a dog lover, and I want the best for my pets, but I don't use taxpayer dollars to turn around and provide a nice park with a drinking fountain for dogs. There isn't enough water pressure to put out a fire should that occur in that part of the county, and instead we have a drinking fountain for dogs. Where are our priorities?
John Arthur Smith chairs the Legislative Finance Committee.
There's a belief, and I think it's a false belief, that individuals believe they will not get reelected if they don't bring home the pork.
It's not just dog parks and statues. There's golf. In '07, legislators shelled out $60,000 for a practice area at New Mexico State in Las Cruces, $100,000 for improvements at New Mexico Tech's course in Socorro, $200,000 for a new pro shop at Highlands in Las Vegas, $75,000 to renovate the Grants Clubhouse, $250,000 for the Los Alamos public course. And then there's almost $1 million spent on UNM golf in 2007. Lawmakers Larinaga, Hall, Barry, and Payne hit up taxpayers $600,000 for clubhouse renovations. State Rep Saavedra poured $144,000 into tee boxes for the driving range. And former Governor Richardson single-handedly charged taxpayers $200,000 for an indoor golf facility so one can tee off, rain or shine.
The taxpayer funds universities in this state better than most states. When we talk about being on the bottom of something, we're on the very top, in the top 10 on how we fund universities. And then they turn around and ask for capital outlay request for golf courses.
It's just plain wrong.
Senator Pete Campos is fighting to reform New Mexico's pork barrel system. He says every dollar that goes into tractors and golf courses is money that can't be used for health and safety.
This is not the way to operate government. We do not have the resources to address over $8 billion worth of infrastructure needs at the state level and at the local level and through our public schools and through our higher educational system.
In these days of shrinking budgets, you're probably asking, how do New Mexico's politicians get away with it? Well, the answer is quite simple, because they can.
Are New Mexico's most critical needs adequately funded today?
They probably would be adequately funded if we didn't have abuse of the existing system.
Lawmakers appropriate, the governor vetoes.
These dollars do not belong to the legislature. They belong to the hardworking people in New Mexico. And they insist that our roads be repaired. They insist that the dams be repaired. They're wanting to make sure we have water and wastewater treatment facilities that will be enhanced so that we can bring economic development.
Most legislators are aware that we need to do something about a better way of managing this money.
Through the years, individual lawmakers have tried to reform the capital outlay process. However, the legislature as a whole has consistently rejected all proposals to change the way pork is allocated and spent.
The rhetoric has to stop. The change has to occur. And we need to move forward if we're going to prosper as a state.
Larry Barker, KRQE News 13.
Incidentally, Representative Keith Gardner, involved in that Roswell spending project, is now the governor's chief of staff.